Okay, hello everyone, welcome. This is the first YouTube video. I can't believe it has taken me this long to make one. A friend and I, maybe like 10 to 15 years ago, if you're watching, you know who you are. We'd always been like, we used to sit and play video games, and we always used to be like, oh, flip, we'd be the best YouTubers if only we'd started this earlier, while we playing Call of Duty Black Ops. But yeah, anyways, we never did, and I've been thinking that since then, like, oh, I should start YouTube. So here we are, here I am, and yeah, I hope you enjoy. I'm actually really excited, and yeah, I hope I've got some cool stuff to share. So to keep me on track, pretty much, I put some stuff down. This is a first, as I mentioned, so let's see how this goes. So firstly, hello. I've got no idea who's going to watch this, so please let me know who you are. I'm going to have some kind of clickbaity title like I built this app in a day or something, which is true, but I've got no idea who's going to click on this video. Please let me know. I'm very, very interested. Um, and so yeah, this brings me on to like, why am I starting YouTube now? I mean, if I've been putting it off for so long, what's the point? Um, there's so much interesting stuff going on at the moment. It's really just a crazy time to be alive and to be doing any kind of work, really. I mean, I was going to say any kind of software, but it's really any kind of work. I don't know if I can emphasize enough like how polarizing the different opinions on this kind of stuff are. By this kind of stuff, I'm obviously talking about AI. There's some people who are fearing the apocalypse and Armageddon and stuff, and there's another group who just think it's absolute nonsense. Um, and yeah, it's there's so much misinformation going on that I work with AI a lot. I'm a software developer, and I sit and spend a good 8 hours of my day working alongside AI. Let's call it that. And I just came to realize over the last little while, like I'm actually very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in, where I can see the strengths and the weaknesses, and without any of the hype that most of the public have around this stuff. So yeah, that's essentially why I'm starting now. I want to show you what is possible and also what's not possible, and just share some knowledge, really. So on that note, let me show you this app which I built in a day. Essentially, I've got it launched on a simulator, so it's probably going to look pretty terrible, but this is what it is. This is an iPad simulator, and it's an iPad app. And what it is, if I go quickly, is it's an app for playing drums, in my case, for playing drums, essentially playing any kind of music, right? But at the moment, for playing drums. And the principle behind this is that what you do is you build out a bunch of songs, and each song, when you are prepping that song, you set out the structure of the song, and then you write some notes here. So to say, light toms, and kick whatever. For drummers, that means something. It tells you how I'm playing. If I want to highlight at the end here I can't enter a new line on the simulator, but if I want to say build, then I can highlight like, okay, we're supposed to build here. Now it looks like it's a kick build, but whatever. And essentially what one would do is you would start a song by saying, okay, this is a new song that we're learning. And when you start the song, this fast sketch thing. So as I'm listening to the song, you would say, okay, it was the intro, then verse 1, verse 2, chorus. Let's say we did the chorus again, went to verse 3, another chorus, to the bridge, another bridge, back to the chorus, an instrumental, followed by another chorus, and then the outro. You can see that basically without like lifting my hand, I've been able to sketch out this full song, and I would come back in here and type in here like 8 bars for the intro, 16 bars for verse 1, okay, which would be too long, so like 8 bars for verse 1 and 8 bars for verse 2. And let's say I'm not playing the intro, I would leave this blank. For verse 1, I'm playing very lightly, so I choose a light color, not light color, a cool color. Verse 2, I pick it up a little bit, and then the first chorus I play really, really loudly. Now when I go into play mode, I can immediately see, sitting at the drums, like, oh cool, I'm not playing for the intro, I'm playing like very lightly for verse 1, verse 2, and then chorus I go really big. And so that's the app. I mean, that's really the app. The idea is that once you've prepped properly for a song, you can kind of prep for a song in like 2 listens through. One if you really pushed for time, and more if you want to get it right. What you would listen to on the first pass through, you would get all of these. You would sketch out the form, and the second pass through you'd go and put in notes. So as I showed, you'd say what you're doing here, what you're doing here, what you're doing here. Maybe this is like a halftime chorus or something that you want to remember. And yeah, that's essentially it. And the idea is, okay, I can just use a piece of paper for this. Why do I want an app? And the reason is because I want to use these again later. So now I have a set list, which is, in my case, it's a worship set, but it can be playing at your local bar or whatever. You say this is now the new set, and what you do is essentially in this new set, you need to add some items from the library. So you go and you add like the songs that I've done in the past, or I can just go to these songs and then add this one, and my new song that I added, and I can order these around. Now I'm ready to play. I start the set, and there we go. And so why am I showing you this? Like, what's the point? The point is, like, I built this in a day, which is just crazy. Like, it's an idea that I've had for a very, very long time, and I built it in a day. It still blows my mind, and that's actually the catalyst to get me to make this video. Not because I'm some crazy kind of maestro who built an app in a day, but just because it's honestly, it's just insane. It's really insane. Is it a perfect app? No. Have I used the app successfully? Yes, I used it literally today and last week. So I guess the point of this video is to kind of maybe try and open your eyes to like what is possible, Do I think it's possible for someone non-technical to build an app like this in a day? No, I don't think so. I think if you did, you run the risk of like hacking your computer because you told the AI fix it, no mistakes, and it deleted your drive because it couldn't get it working. All those horror stories, they are real, they do happen. This is not really a tutorial on like how to build an app in a day. It's more just like this is, you can build this. So speeding things up a little bit, because as I say, I've got no idea who's watching this. So if this is a bunch of non-devs, then how did I build the app is completely irrelevant. So please let me know in the comments, like who are you? What do you want to see more of? Do you want me to go into a deep dive on this app, or what? But basically I'll go over the general structure. So what I did was I did a fairly rigorous bit of initial planning, and so I will open up that initial planning window now. So basically this is how I started off the chat. I'm going to read this top thing, my first prompt, because I think it's quite interesting. Take a look at the above 4 screenshots, which are from an app that I've used to plan playing drums for a song. I want to build my own version of the app. In its simplest form is an app that you would use as a drummer to sit and listen to a song, sketch out the basic form, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's not that important to read. I have a lot more info to give on this, but start by just orientating yourself in this space and looking at the images I've given. We can then have a back and forth discussion. Okay, and I've attached these images, which is from a different app which I was using. You can see that it's a very similar idea. Yeah, obviously looks much uglier. This is my lovely handwriting, which apparently no one can read. I don't know why, but yeah. Anyways. Now it responded and gave me like a got it. What is the app? It gave me a bunch of conventions. I've developed color-coded section highlights. It's saying that blue is a verse and red is a chorus, which is absolutely incorrect. Blue is like, it's on the warmth scale, so blue is really soft and red is really loud. Doesn't matter what it is. So it's just jumps in, and a lot of people would now go, you know what, AI is useless. It's completely terrible. What even is the point? I wrote this last love letter to say, right off the bat, you've responded with way too much text and made a lot of assumptions that were not necessary. That's fine. I didn't give any clear guidance. But for the rest of the chat, please try and be as concise as possible. Please act as a helper to craft the perfect plan and requirements documents for building the product, rather than trying to assume the role of the designer or builder yourself. Your role in this chat is to guide me to the perfect plan and requirements. A lot of people would just have gone, you know what, this thing is just making up stuff. It's terrible. This is why AI is bad. Why are people saying AI is good? What's the point, etc. So from this repositioning, it's like understood, concise, and our guide rather than design. First question. And immediately it switches role. It goes into this role of a helper and a planner, which is exactly what I wanted. It's crazy. So anyways, now I was taking a walk around the place where I live and using my favorite tool, which is Whisperflow. And yeah, essentially just dictating in a bunch of stuff. So I just said here, great adjustment. This is exactly what I want. Let's start writing Markdown. And I went back and forth here. So I gave a bunch of context, then it came back, then I read it, gave a bunch more, then it came back, and then it started with the first version of the plan. And so this is, I wonder which version this is showing. Anyway, it started with the first version of the plan, and we then went back and forward and refined this plan over and over until I was happy with it. I'm not going to read the plan. I'm not really going to go over the stuff. But basically, I spent probably close to 2 hours going back and forth. Obviously, this doesn't look like 2 hours of work, but a lot of this is me thinking about it, okay? And yeah, okay, then I move over to giving me a prompt and doing a bunch of stuff. But anyways, this is like the majority of the planning. So like what I've just showed you now is genuinely the majority of the planning that I did. And it took, 2 hours to do to get a really, really good plan. I'm not going to read the plan, as I said, at some stage. Maybe I will if you want a video on it. But this is a core part that people miss. And the other thing is, how did I plan for this app? Well, I've been planning for this app for like the past 3-4 years. I've been using this technique. I know down to the finest point what I need. I know the features of the app that I didn't use. I know the features that I did. I know what I wish I had. And so I've been planning for this app for a long time. You can't expect to have this kind of quality of output after a day if you don't know anything about what you want to build. Because one of my favorite things I've explained to people, what happens is you start by like reading everything the AI says, and then eventually you just get tired and you just say, you know what, just do whatever you want. Then you end up building something that you don't understand. Let's not forget, like, this is planning from 2-3 years of lived experience. So anyways, after the initial planning, just pure vibing. For those of you who don't know what vibe coding is, firstly, I'm very interested that you're watching this video, but secondly, it's when you just basically give the AI a prompt like, do this, no mistakes. And so I didn't try and play any major role in the frameworks or anything other than going, I have an Apple developer account, so it's an app for iPad. I want to be able to sync it with my phone. A bunch of stuff, again, that if you're a software engineer is super interesting. If you're not, it's very boring. But essentially the AI coded the whole thing. I didn't write any code for this other than giving it the guidance that I wanted. Then testing. I mean, if you're going to build an app that you're going to use, because I then sat and prepped for the next day using the app, put together a bunch of testing notes, which I can show. So here's the testing notes. Okay, this is from actually the second round of testing that I did. But you can see the vibe here. It's like the app felt really nice. So general comments, app felt really nice regarding the aesthetic, clear to use, points to fix, more colors are needed, and the colors should be ordered from cool to warm, left to right. Why did I say this? Well, because I was sitting there going, is blue cooler or warmer than green? Okay, colors don't come naturally to me, let's say. But yeah, this is, if you're building an app, build one that you use, or if you're doing any kind of work, do work that you're familiar with or that you're going to use or that's going to benefit you. Not only is there a chance that it benefits someone else, which is going to be great, but you also get the very, very best first-hand feedback and experience. So those are the notes. So I did a whole lot of testing and then a whole lot of refining. And this is obviously, I would start drawing, but this is obviously a cyclical loop here. It's testing, refining, which is kind of vibing, but not really now. Now you are spending a little bit more of an active role, because you're like, hang on, okay, how did you build this component? Because every time I click on it, it's not working. And so that's why I say, if you've got no software experience, don't try and build an app in a day. It's not a great idea. But yeah, if you've got some software experience, you should be doing this. It's really a really good experiment, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, so basically you go through the cycle and you end up with something like this that you can use. Now, just for example, this edit button. So I start the set. Now I realize, I didn't actually finish the song. I click the edit button. It takes me back. That is, abysmally stupid. Like, why is it taking me back? I wanted to edit it. What's happening? Okay, then let's say, okay, I can click on here to edit it. No, you can't click on there. It doesn't work. I have to go and find the song in here and click on it from there. It's like, that's terrible. But that's just me now making a note. I simply make a note to say, hey, okay, two things. Firstly, when I'm in the set and I click edit, it must edit the song that I'm on. Secondly, when I click this thing, it's supposed to open up the song. 5 minutes later, I'm not even joking, 5 minutes later it will be fixed. It's the kind of thing that you can probably fix yourself if you know a bunch, not a bunch, if you code, you can fix it yourself. But even then, you don't necessarily need to. It's one prompt, it's one guidance prompt. So yeah, a lot of people would get daunted by the fact that, this looks bad, or this is not great, there's so much that's wrong with it. That's not really an excuse anymore, because you just make testing notes and then fix it. It's a development and iterative process anyways. And this is something I just want to say super quickly, like, it's well documented that the lower people's concentrations get, like the faster paced life gets, right? And it's the same with AI. When you were used to taking weeks and, dare I say months, let's maybe not say months because this is still a very simple app, but weeks to months to build something like this, you're now able to build it in a day. What does that mean? Well, it means that your expectations are shifting. And so now you were able to build this in a day, so now you use it. That is so crazy that you use it, and then you get, ludicrously frustrated with the fact that, I can't drag this from here to here, it just swipes. So for example, if I come in here and try and, drag this from here to there and it doesn't drag, a lot of people will go like, oh, AI is terrible. How could it miss that? Or something like what I was talking about, like clicking on this doesn't open the song. One needs to shift views now to go, instead of just writing the thing off as terrible, that's actually something that you need to go, wow, like, this is incredible. This was built in a day, and now we have this foundation to build on, which is really just mind-blowing. So yeah, pretty much getting to wrapping up now. Let's find my notes here. What did this cost? This is the crazy part. I have a generous boss who allows us to tinker a little bit on our own personal products or projects, let's say. Not really products, but projects. And so this was done on the plan that I use for work. And so as a result, I was watching my usage like a hawk, because I'm like, I can't rock up at work on Monday and say, oh, I've run out of AI because I was building my drum app on the weekend. It's just not going to fly. So I was watching the cost like a hawk. And this ended up using 10% of my weekly limit. Okay, actually less. It was less than 10%. It was about 8%. For that weekly usage, probably costs around $100 to $125. So if you're watching this where I'm in South Africa, that's probably around about 1,800 to 2,000 Rand, in and around that range. 10% of that, no, that's of the weekly limit. So 2.5% of that, under 2.5%, let's say 2% of that, which is just absolutely crazy, that you are getting for, what's that? 1% is $200, $400, no, $40, 40 Rand. That's insane. That's like, for cost reference, that's like, I don't know, half a Big Mac or something. For the cost of a McFlurry, that's we built that for the cost of a McFlurry. It's just really insane. Very, very low cost. Obviously, this is not the finished product. The finished product will need a lot more time and effort, and there's all of the expertise that goes in and everything. But yeah, not as expensive as those, horror bills of like, oh, Anthropic just billed me $20,000. That's really not the case if you use it properly. What's the point? What are the implications of this for you? And, it comes back to, why did I make this video? Really, if this does anything, it should make you realize that there are some cool things that you can do with AI with a bit of expertise. And that potentially, almost definitely, you can do more than what you're doing. So if it was possible for me to build this app in a day, which is super cool and which I've now used and it's functional and everything, then it's possible for you to do something. I don't know what that is. I mean, I don't know who's watching this, coming back to this point. So if I don't know who's watching this, then I can't accurately say the implications, but the implication is that you can do more than what you're doing right now. And it's just, yeah, it's just cool to open one's mind a little bit to the possibilities. There's some really cool ideas waiting to be built. There's some really cool automations waiting to be done. There's some really cool work that's waiting to be done that requires years and years of human lived experience, that you can now, fast track getting something useful with the tools that we have available, which I just think is super cool. And I hope it inspires some people not to be so fearful of the tech, and also just to go and build some really cool stuff. Because spending time, like, I find that this whole thing of AI is going to replace my job is a whole lot less scary when I work with it, because you would think like, oh flip, you must be terrified that like you're not going to get paid to build stuff anymore. It's like, no, I know how much effort has gone into learning these skills and doing this thing, and not only that, but I know how much more is possible now. And that's really the thing to take away. How much more is possible to do now. This is a super low stakes app. This is not like anyone's life or money or anything is on the line. This is like not a textbook way to build software where you just do that vibing step. Definitely not. But it solved a problem that I had, and it's actually accurately solved a problem that I had in a meaningful way. And so, yeah, so that's super cool. So anyways, wrapping up, let me know what you think, please. It would be super interesting for me to know if you enjoyed this and if you'd like to see more, and then what you'd like to see more of. Really keen to see where we end up going with this. Please share it if you enjoyed it. I can't wait for this journey to get started. And bleak that it didn't start sooner. Anyways, thanks so much. And yeah, catch you next time. Cheers. Okay, I'm going to do that thing where it's like, hey, this is Editor Matt. Basically, I realized I was probably supposed to say, please like and subscribe and hit that bell icon. Not sure which side it is, but yeah, I'll get used to it. Hit that bell icon, please like and subscribe, and yeah, share this with your friends. Cheers.